The Lieutenant Governor, by statute, is the chair of the Small Business Advocacy Council under RHO 42-91-2A. In Rhode Island, small businesses constitute over 95% of the employers in the state. On August 7, 2017, Lieutenant Governor filed a position statement in this case. He explained the following. Since taking office, he has visited over 150 small businesses. He was looking to find out what the biggest barriers were to creating a small business-friendly Rhode Island. Time and again, he was told that the rising cost of electricity is one of the top concerns for small businesses in Rhode Island. This filing, as we've heard many times, represents a proposed 53% increase in the standard offer price. The Lieutenant Governor believes this is an unacceptable increase and will impose an unreasonable burden on Rhode Island's small businesses as well as its residential customers. The Lieutenant Governor is proud that he's been able to take action to strengthen the competitive market for electricity in Rhode Island, giving small businesses and residential customers a real choice when it comes to electricity supply costs. The Lieutenant Governor did two things. First, he successfully advocated before this commission the elimination of the billing adjustment. This was a fee, as you will recall, that cost National Grid customers nearly $1.5 million when they switched from National Grid to a competitive supplier. That billing adjustment was a major barrier to effective competition in Rhode Island and to choice for consumers. It has now been removed, and we are very grateful and we commend the Commission for eliminating the billing adjustment. Second, working with the Division and National Grid, the Lieutenant Governor successfully advocated for the creation of the Empower RI website. This is an electricity shopping website that allows a customer to go on the website and compare the competitive supplier offerings to the rates available with National Grid to determine whether or not there would be a savings. The website has the terms and conditions involved as well as the length of the proposed contracts and the rates, and will tell you whether or not you would save money or not by moving to a particular competitive supplier. As of this morning on the website, there was a rate for residential customers available for 6.2 cents, as we discussed with Mr. Shalala. For commercial customers, there is a 7.6 cent rate available. The question is, where do we go from here? Lieutenant Governor respectfully submits to the Commission that this Commission should take a hard look at the following issues. 1. How is it that competitive suppliers are able to offer prices that are lower than what Grid is proposing? 2. Are there procurement practices used by the competitive suppliers that Grid should think about adopting with the permission of the Commission that would be part of its existing procurement plan in order to try to reduce the standard offer price? 3. Should the Commission consider giving Grid more flexibility in their procurement practices so that they can respond more quickly and more effectively to changes in market conditions? And 4, would the procurement plan changes that the PUC recently rejected have resulted in lower prices, and should we reconsider whether or not those changes should be approved? Thank you. That ends my opening statement, and I'd like to call the Lieutenant Governor to the stand, please.
Raise your right hand, please. The solemnly swear the testimony about to give this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Would you identify yourself for the record, please?
Yes, I'm Dan McKee, Lieutenant Governor of the State of Rhode Island.
And do you also serve as chair of the Small Business Advocacy Council by law?
Yes.
Did you direct me to file a motion to intervene on behalf of your office in this docket?
This and a couple other times, too.
And in support of the intervention in this docket, did you prepare a position statement?
Yes, I did.
And you have that statement in front of you. It's previously been marked for identification purposes only.
Yes.
And do you adopt that position statement under oath as your testimony in this docket?
Yes, I do.
You've sat through the hearings so far today, correct?
Yes, I have.
Do you have any additional recommendations other than what's set forth in your position statement that for things that might be able to be done to help the ratepayers?
Yes, and I think first I want to just say that that a number of these things are more art than science, including the procurement process, right? So having some experience in that area is in about the family oil business that my brothers and I have operated since my dad died in '86. We found ourselves, because of the volatility in the market, we purchased dry contracts, wet contracts. We bought insurance to protect on the downside. So I speak from that position and knowing that in a more competitive nature, because we were in a position where we needed to make sure we protected our customer base because there was a number of other competition in the market. So I think that, yes, I think there are ways to look at the way that we procure the energy and the contracts and the windows of those opportunities, and certainly worth looking at. So I think that's one of the things that could be done, and just kind of repeating what you said, Mike. But and there are other factors. The capacity issues come up. The renewables, the energy efficiency, which are really important projects, and I don't think there's just one answer, but competition is a really important factor here. When you have 60% of the ratepayers in the state of Ohio shopping their electricity through a website, and we're at 13% of the residential accounts, that actually has propped it up by almost 5% since the division, and again, we thank the division for doing this on behalf of the ratepayers and the business owners and the residential accounts out there. That's going up 5% on 8%, so that's a pretty significant increase on a percentage basis, but it's certainly way lower than we need to do when Ohio's at 60% and Pennsylvania's at 40% of the ratepayers shopping their electricity. So what I would think is that right now we should all be working together. As was mentioned, the standard offer for the last 6 months of 6.2 cents, that was great, and congratulations to the grid for working on, having that available. I didn't hear anybody getting up and thanking the grid for their 6.2 cent rate, on that basis, but yet we should be, because what we're trying to do is get the ratepayers the lowest price that we possibly can, and in this case, it doesn't impact the grid because they're the energy provider of last resort, which I've heard over and over again. So I think we should be doing everything we can when the circumstances and the moons align, and all of a sudden now you have ratepayers, as I did, and as many people in this building who work in this building have done, went and shopped their electricity, and they're going to avoid the entire rate increase that's projected in the next 6 months. Now, when I did that 2 weeks ago, it's either going to kick in on my September 1st bill or my October 1st bill. So I'm either going to get 5 or 6 months of savings, and every ratepayer in the state of Rhode Island can do that. So I think that we certainly could do a lot more with PSAs when these circumstances talk. Just 1% of the ratepayers, of the 485,000 ratepayers, shop their electricity right now. That's almost based on the data that was talked about, an $18 increase on an average 500 kilowatt hours or whatever it is, right, that was mentioned back at 9:30 this morning. Just a bump of 1% is almost $600,000 savings to the ratepayers in the state of Rhode Island. If you go up 10 points because we put the work in, that's $6 million that's in the ratepayers' pockets in the state of Rhode Island that could go towards other things in the household in terms of heat, buying the milk, going to movies, getting a babysitter. This is a substantial amount of money. So I think that we should really be working very hard at this point in time when the circumstances are aligned. This past summer it wasn't there, but it is there now. So I think that the commission, I think that the division, I think that the grid, I think that anybody in public office right now, and then a number of the groups out there that have spoken that are dealing with that 18,000 people that had their electric shut off this summer, or the 28,000 people who had the combination between the heat and the electricity shut off during this time frame, they need to be brought into the loop. And one of the questions we did ask, does it impact the low-income person that's on the LIAT? All right. We heard testimony that said that if somebody was on that program and they shopped their electricity, that their benefits could be cut. Now, and then we heard testimony from the grid that said they disagreed. So let's get people together on that issue, because in fact, we're hoping that it doesn't impact the benefits, and then we can talk to those 10,000 families out there in a way that actually can save money. So yes, I understand it's a complicated issue. I think being proactive like we have been in our office rather than reactive, it doesn't really do a whole lot of good to say what you're going to do is what you get done, and we got to continue to work on things that are going to benefit the ratepayer and work with the grid. Because I, as a mayor, and I'll end this with that, as a mayor, I worked with the grid. And when we had shutdowns because of storms or other things, they responded in a very, very positive way. And so today, we're in my community of Cumberland, after being mayor for 12 years, we have less and less outages because of the work that they did on just tree cutting. So this is not a battle with any particular group. This is just to figure out how to benefit the ratepayers in the state of Rhode Island and the business owners in particular. I think there's a great deal more work that could be done there to provide them with the information. As Mike mentioned, the rate going to 9.35 cents in the next 6 months, beginning October 1st, against a rate that's available today. It's about an 18% savings for the business community that is on the fixed rates, not the variable rates, but we've got to get into the variable rates as well, because there's a number of businesses that are on variable that don't even know why they're on the variable. They should be on the fixed, where they should have the ability to flip back and forth. But anyways, it's an 18% savings right now for the business community based on that website offer. Now, that 18% will translate to 9, 8, 9, 10% of their bill. And I visited businesses that are running bills at $2,000, $3,000 a month. That's not a small amount of money, and we should really be paying attention to that, as well as these other issues that we have on a long-term basis, which is the renewable and the capacity and the energy efficiency. So I would leave it at that, Mike. If you have any more questions or anybody has questions, we have the answer.
Thank you, that's all I have. Lieutenant Governor Rhode for cross-examination.
No cross from National Grid.
No questions from the division.
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. I have to say that I went through the last big spike in energy prices, and at that time, there was not a good source of information on competitive supply. And to have the Empower website that you worked on to create with the division and National Grid is so helpful. So I feel like we've made a lot of progress, and it's nice to be able to say that along with investing in efficiency, consumers have choices. So I commend you for that.
Well, thank you, Commissioner. If we could set a goal, maybe to get to 20% in the next few months, that would be wonderful.
Right, and it is interesting. I mean, I know we've been looking across the country to see what other states are doing, and it does vary. It varies, I know, and this is an issue internationally as well. So.
And our office, please use us as a resource. We're speaking to companies in Ohio. We got visited there. We've got legislation that I think is going to increase the competition. That's going to require action by both the Commission, I believe, and the division to do just that. So please stay in touch. Appreciate it.